Good day, everybody. Man, do we have a show today, Behind the Book Live. Advanced Partners. Let's throw a shout out to them for being the sponsorship for this great show today. But recruiting and staffing peeps out there, today's show is so special. I mean, we got this book here, Prison of Your Own, that we're going to talk about with my man here, Sean Michael Crane in the house from California. What's up, brother?
What's up, my man? How we doing?
Hey, good, man. And I tell you what, right before that, man, you're a Cali guy, an author, a founder, CEO, family man. I mean, the list goes on and on, Michael. So just a little bit about what you are right now, and then we'll go back to chapter 1 of your book and go deep dive in.
Yeah, I'm also a felon and an ex-convict. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today, right? But currently in my life, I live in beautiful Santa Barbara, California, one of the most incredible places to live. I actually grew up here. I grew up here. My wife, my sweetheart, Jessica, we've been married 5 years, going on 6. We have 3 children together. My stepson, Mason's 13. My daughter, Scarlett's 4. And my youngest boy, Preston, is 3. So I'm blessed, man. All I ever wanted was a family that I could just, lead and guide the right way and be the best man for them. A year and a half ago, I founded Unstoppable 365 MFR, which is an elite personal development program for men across the country who want to better their mindset, their habits, their fitness, their health. Like they want to be the best versions of them so they can go out and crush it in business, lead their families, lead their teams at work, and just across the board, elevate their results. Prior to that, I was doing life coaching on my own. I didn't have a company. It was just me as a solopreneur. And I also do keynotes, speak on stages, wrote a book. So a lot of cool things, man, that I envisioned and wanted to do for so long, and finally had the opportunity to bring that vision to life.
Dude, I love it, man. You're everywhere. And especially California, man. My brothers live in Cali, man. I got to get out there, man. Sunshine all the time.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Like, during December, January, when other parts of the country, like during the holidays, everyone's snowed in. We're at the beach and stuff. And, I don't take it for granted, man. I'm truly blessed and grateful, and I know it, and I don't take a moment for granted.
I love it, man. Well, I'm from Great Pittsburgh, so just let you know, we have 9 months of no sunshine.
I know. I go out there. I go out there to Philly, Lancaster, like certain areas of Pennsylvania, and like it's way different. But when I go out there, I appreciate it. I like it when it's snowy. I like the cold weather. I like seeing, the old farmhouses and thinking back to, when our country was founded. There's so much history there. So exactly. I appreciate when I get to travel and go other places because it's different than where I live.
You know what's funny is it's amazing like that. Like me being from the gray states, I want to go see sunshine. Isn't it crazy? Like where you live at, you always want to go somewhere different,
Yeah. Moving. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I lived where you live, I'd want to get the heck out of there. Like 9 months of snow, but you get accustomed to it, right? You just grow up in that environment. So, yeah, 100%, man.
All right, brother. So let's deep dive into this. So I read about your book. So all I can say is, okay, so let's jump in how did you come up with this idea? That's the thing. I mean, to write a book.
Yeah, I wanted to write a book. So first of all, like for everyone listening, I went to prison at 23 for a crime I didn't commit. So I was at a party and a big fight broke out, a college party. We were all drinking. I went there just to chase some girls, and I was a young, wild kid at that time. Yeah. And a huge fight broke out. I was watching it. It turned into a melee, and everyone's just getting jumped, tackled every which way. And turns out 2 guys were assaulted with weapons in that fight. And I got blamed for one of them. And I didn't do it. I did not do it. I had one of the guys' blood on me because he tackled me. He had been assaulted while we were wrestling around. I had no idea what happened, but everyone at the party saw me covered in blood and fleeing the scene. It looked really bad, worst case scenario. So anyway, in California, man, when you're arrested for a crime and you're going to trial, you're in front of the judge and the district attorney, no one thinks you're innocent. You're guilty until proven innocent. It's not innocent until proven guilty. When you're wearing the blues, you're handcuffed, like you're done, right? So what they do is they pressure you into either taking a plea deal or you take it to trial, and most guys lose. Like my DA's conviction rate was about 99%, right? I knew what was happening, man, and it was scary. I was 23 and I was facing life in prison for something I didn't do. I ended up being sentenced to 6 years, and the spiritual transformation, the shift in my mindset, like the transformation that took place in me just in the first 8 months was life-changing. I went through such an internal transformation. I mean, you got to read the book to really understand what was taking place inside my mind, my body, my spirit. But by the time I got to prison, I knew that I was going to turn that experience into an asset for me. I knew that I was going to make every day count.
Yeah.
I was going to emerge the best version I had ever been, and I was going to live a really awesome life. Like that was my mindset. So in prison, every day I would work out, and I wouldn't just do like a little easy workout. I would do 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 squats
Man, look at you.
while everyone in the dorm was sleeping before chow and it's dark out. I was in the corner doing my workout. I would do that workout before breakfast and then go about my day. And when I got back to the building, I'd be reading, I was writing, I was taking college courses. They allowed me to do a correspondence program in there with a college in Southern California. So during my time in prison, I got 4 associate's degrees because they wouldn't allow you to get bachelor's. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to educate myself. I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to make every second count. So if I wasn't working out, if I wasn't writing letters back home or doing these creative stories I started writing, I was reading a book, I was studying my subjects, and every second in there I made count, and other guys in prison were drawn to me and attracted to like the way I was living in there because it was different. And I actually started coaching guys in prison. Like I had a bunch of youngsters who wanted to get in shape,
That's
wanted to take
awesome.
college courses. They wanted to know what books to read. So when I got out of prison, man, I knew what my purpose was. It was to be of service to the world. I wanted to speak on the biggest stages. I wanted to start my own coaching program. And I knew in the back of my head I wanted to write a book about what I went through and how I was able to learn and grow through that experience and become a better version of myself. Um, the reason I got the book right here, the reason I titled it Prison of Your Own is because when
Hmm.
I got home, I was shocked to see how many people had given up on life.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I I was coming out with a way different perspective because this was my second chance. I felt like I died and God gave me a second chance at life. That's
Yeah.
truly what I felt like. So I was coming home excited, motivated, grateful, and I saw all these kids I went to school with, or even family members and people, and they were just going through the motions. They lost that spark, they lost that excitement, and it was heartbreaking, honestly. But I was like, man, that gave me the idea. Like, I'm going to write the book and title it "Prison of Your Own." And what that
Love it.
means is a lot of people live in a prison they've created by their limiting beliefs, their fears, the way they think keeps them trapped and imprisoned. They could go out and become anything. They could do anything they want in life, but they settle for a job they hate that gives them very little amounts of money. They don't go out and see the world because they say that, they don't have the money or we can't do it. Like they're not attacking life. They're not doing all the stuff they really want to do. They're settling. And so I share about my story. I share about going to prison. I share about how I was able to break free of my mental prison while I was incarcerated. Because prior to incarceration, I was the guy trapped in a mental prison. I had limiting beliefs. I had trauma. I had these things holding me back. I was the type of guy that said, I can't, or, oh, that's not realistic. And I didn't realize what I was doing to myself. I was killing my potential, so being stuck in a cell all day long, 24 hours a
Oh,
day, it gave me nothing but time to think and recognize this. And I realized, man, the only reason I didn't live the life that I truly wanted to that point is myself. It was my decisions and the way I was thinking, you know? And so in prison, I truly found freedom. I found freedom and inner peace, and it changed my entire life. And I wrote the book during COVID. My wife actually called me out. She said, "Hey, you keep saying you're going to write a book. When are you going to
yeah.
write it?" And COVID was the perfect opportunity. So every morning I'd get up at 4 a.m. before the kids would get up, and I'd just sit there and type. And I started
4
writing my
a.m.
book. Oh,
4
yeah.
a.m. Collective thoughts. Did you have coffee with you at that time?
Of course. I'd wake up, drink my coffee, collect my thoughts, and start writing. That's my favorite time of the day is the early morning because your mind's
Hmm.
fresh. You're getting a new
Yes.
day. So the thing that got me through each day in prison is I would wake up, and you wake up at 3:30 to get breakfast. And if you don't go to breakfast, you don't get it. And sometimes they pass out your sack lunch at breakfast. So if you don't get up and go, you don't get breakfast or lunch, and you're starving all day
Wow.
long. So it trained me just to get up early. And most people struggle just to get up early. It's like so hard for them, right? For me, it was survival. Either you're going to eat or you're going to starve. Which one are you going to choose, right? So that just trained me to be an early riser. But then what I would do is I'd get back to my cell and I would just sip a little coffee I had, my instant Folgers, and
Hmm.
there's no cell phones in there. There's no TVs. There's no distractions. So I would just think, man. I'd spend the early morning hours thinking, and then I'd pray to God for strength to get through the day and guide me. I'd think about all the things that I was grateful for in life so I could focus on that versus the despairing environment I was in. And I was cultivating this gratitude perspective every morning that allowed me to go into my days motivated and looking for ways to be productive versus feeling defeated. And that the way I trained my mind in prison was such a powerful catalyst for the success I've been able to have out here. Because so many people just quit before they get to their result, or they talk to
Yep.
themselves negatively, and it puts them at a disadvantage, you know? And I just learned that like the way we talk to ourselves and the perspective we develop is everything in life. You have two guys, right? One sees all the reasons why it can't work, the other sees all the reasons why it can. Who are you betting on in life? So,
You got it. Yep.
I mean, so all the routines I developed in prison have allowed me to be successful out here. Like that early morning rise that gives me time to just focus and get clarity for the day. I have laser focus going into my day, knowing how I want to show up, what I need to do, how to continuously grow and achieve the things I want in life. And then I go work out. You know, that was something that really helped me in jail is like stress reduction, right? Just pouring
Yes.
yourself into your workout. When you're sweating, you're depleted, you can't breathe, you forget about all the other problems in life, right? They cease to exist. So working out became such a powerful tool and catalyst for growth and really helping me to get through the very tough times in my jail cell. And out here, it's the same thing. Like I talk to a lot of business owners and men I coach, and if they're not working out and they're not taking care of themselves, stress is through the roof. They're probably drinking too much to try to put a
Yep.
band-aid on that stuff. And, you know, if they just started getting up early and working out and eating healthy, they would feel amazing. They'd feel like a completely different person.
100%, dude. And you know, I work out all the time like yourself. And you know what? I always tell people in the recruiting staffing industry, you know, that piece of bread in the morning, you could even reinforce this. This is a piece of bread, and then you're hungry by noon. You're not going to be productive at work. You're going to be thinking about food or angry or upset. You can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people in sales or people in positions of leadership, like business owners, whatever you're doing, whoever's listening to this, it's so easy to succeed in business when you focus on your personal development. Like personal development is what creates professional success. So if I had two guys in front of me, whatever position they're in, right? And I know this
Yes.
guy got up early, he's going to the gym every day, he's being mindful of what he's eating, he's drinking his water, he's taking supplements, he's like really working on developing himself, he's reading books. And then this guy who just got up an hour before he had to be at work, ate pancakes, and he's not taking care of his health. He's not like focused on growth. Who am I going to choose? Like it's a no brainer. I want the guy who's preparing for success, the guy
Mm-hmm.
who's living his life in a way that's in alignment with that success. And so a lot of the guys that reach out to me for coaching, they want to make money. They want to crush it in life. They want to be their best. And the first thing that I do with them is set them up on workout programs and help them with nutrition because
Bingo.
we all know working out is important, but most people don't understand how nutrition affects your energy, your mental health, your mental clarity. If you're eating processed food or like a lot of breads and a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be consuming, it's going to affect your mental health. You're not going to be as sharp and crisp. You're not going to be as focused. You're not going to have as much energy. You're going to crash later in the day. You're not going to feel motivated. Like you're doing yourself a disservice. So that's so important for people to understand. Like the way that you care for yourself on a personal level at home is going to show up in the way you perform in your business or in your job and career.
You know it, man. And I preach that all the time. So I want to go back a little bit into the book here. So, you know, you get arrested. Okay. So let's talk about this. 2000, I think you did 2008 days. What is going through your mind out there? I want the audience to know, like, seriously, you're arrested. You know you're going to do some time. What is going through your mind before you come into this, that I'm going to be the ultimate person? I'm going to get out of this. I mean, did you know you had 7 years, or did you think it was going to be longer right off
Yeah.
the bat?
So at first, it was like the worst nightmare you could ever imagine that you never wake up from. It was so surreal to be sitting in jail thinking, wow, I'm here for something that I know I didn't do. And they're telling me that I'm going to spend life in prison. I mean,
Boom.
it was the most heartbreaking thing you could ever imagine. Words cannot even suffice to describe what I was experiencing. And so the first couple months, I was in complete despair. I was depressed. I was sad. I was in shock. And I remember I got to this moment, man, where like all the drugs and alcohol I've been doing as a youngster were wearing out of my system. I was starting to get a little clarity. I was starting to feel a little more optimistic. And I just remember I had this moment where I realized I have to fight. No one is coming to rescue me. No one believes me. No one's going to help me. I have to fight, not just to prove my innocence, but fight for redemption. Like they're going to send me away. You know, I accepted that I was going to go to prison. I wasn't going to get out of this. No one was going to come forward and proclaim my innocence. And in that moment, I just recognized that I had very little control over what happened to me, but I had all of the control I needed over self, meaning my thoughts, my actions. And like I really learned self mastery in my jail cell. because for the first 8 months, I was stuck in a 6x8 cell 24 hours a day. The only time I left was to go to court. And every time I went to court, nothing positive was happening. So being stuck in that cell, I really learned how to take control of my thoughts, how to control my emotional state, my energy, and things that I could do in the moment to shift my energy, to shift my thoughts so that I didn't feel like a victim. Because man, my whole life I was acting like a victim. You know, my whole life I was in denial from the things that happened when I was younger. I was running from my problems. I was trying to pretend it wasn't real. And jail forced me to face all those things, to accept the past, make peace with it, make peace with my parents and all the things they did that I felt were wrong, and just really look forward towards a better life. And that sounds crazy because you're facing life in prison, you know, but honestly, man, the main thing I focused on was I just wanted to become someone I was proud of. You know, as a kid, I played sports and I was an athlete, and I lost that version of myself when I went through a really tough stretch. And I remember I just wanted to be able to look in the mirror and feel proud of who I saw. Like that became my life's purpose. And you know, about 6 months into my incarceration, I remember I made two promises to myself. The first was that I was going to be sober for the rest of my life, because without being sober, I had not a shot in hell, you know. And
Mhm.
number two was that I was going to live every moment and every day as my true self and give my best effort to everything that I did. I didn't care if it was cleaning my cell floor, doing push-ups, like whatever it was, I was going to just give everything I had to that endeavor. And that was a shift in my mindset, my identity. Like that was how I was going to show up in life. And from that moment forward, every day, those two things, like my personal development and how I showed up for myself every day, that became the only thing I really focused on and cared about. I just let everything else go. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't control it.
And how was the prison with the the other inmates and stuff like that? Was there a lot of negativity that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, jail is a horrible place. It smells horrible. There's fights, there's violence. You're around really aggressive people, ignorant people. Like there's good guys, you know, in jail
Mhm.
and prison that made mistakes, just like anywhere. But there's also a lot of bad people. You know, that's why they're there. So when I got to prison, a couple things. I was very fortunate where they sent me. I went to these certain prisons that there was not a lot of bad things happening. California prisons were really overcrowded at that time. So they sent me out of state to Arizona, where they had contracted these outside prisons to house
Mhm.
California inmates, and they were way more relaxed. They had workout machines on the yard. The cops there weren't as strict. You know, the food was a little better. Like just these little things that made it a
Yeah.
little easier. But you're still locked in the cell with another human being all day long. You're still having to deal with all these personalities, all this drama, all this conflict. And I realized early on that if I just focus on myself and I respect people and I put out good energy, like I'm not going to draw that in. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not getting in the mix with all that stuff. So I didn't get into a whole lot of incidents, man. But I remember like the first night I was in prison, they send you to a reception center. So you go from jail to your reception center to the prison you're going to do your time at.
Mhm.
The reception center is just where they put you before they find out where you're being sent. So you have all these different people. It's crazy. There's a lot of bad stuff happening there. And the first night for dinner, they open my door. Like they buzz the doors open. You hear all the doors open. And I step out to get to, you step out of the cell and then they tell you to walk, and you walk to go get your food. And right when we stepped out, I kind of saw something out of the corner of my eye, and this guy was really quickly like walking towards me, and he walked right in front of me and started attacking the guy next to me.
Oh
And
shit.
the officers yelled, "Everyone, get down, get down!" And they shot him in the back of the head with the block gun from the tower. So the block gun is a rubber bullet, and they can kill you if they hit you in the head. Like he's lucky he didn't die. It knocked him out. He fell on the
Yeah.
ground. The cops came in and pepper sprayed him, and they cuffed both the guys and took him out of the building. But like that was my first night in prison, you know, and I was like, damn, like what am I in store for? And
Holy shit.
at that particular place, there was fights almost every night. Every time the doors opened, there was something going on. It was crazy, man. I was there for 3 months. Then I got sent to my next prison, which I was only there for about 6 months before they sent me to Arizona, where I did most of my time. Arizona, not a lot of stuff happened, but it's prison, man. Like people are there and they're not there for good reasons. So there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of negative energy, a lot of violence, a lot of stuff that you don't want to see.
So when did you know that you were finally going to come to the end and you're finally going to get your freedom again? I mean, was that like a year before that, or how did that happen?
So they sentenced me to 7 years, and with that, I had to do 6 of the 7 years. So I knew going into it how much time I was going to do. I ended up doing 5.5 years. They gave me 6 months off because I got my associate's degrees and I had good behavior. But So that date got changed about a year or two before I was set to be released. So immediately my date, became 6 months sooner. But man, the number one thing you try not to think about in prison is the day you get out. Like, it's always in your mind. You're always thinking about it, but you try to just ignore it, because when you start thinking about anything beyond the moment, it triggers feelings of like anxiety and stress and all
Hmm.
these negative emotions, because it's so far away. You start thinking about how much time you have left. Like, I remember my 25th birthday sitting in my jail cell all alone, thinking, wow, I have 5 more of these before I get out. Like, that's a lot of birthdays, right?
Hell yeah.
So you just get really good at being immersed in the moment, and you get in like almost a flow state where every day you just focus on what's in front of you. That keeps you distracted, and that gets you through to the next day, the next month, the next year, and so forth and so on.
So in the book, Uncle Mike, we got to mention Uncle Mike here. So you said he was big inspiration to you. What did he say or do when you were in prison or before and after?
Yeah, I mean, my uncle Mike basically saved my life when my parents fell apart. From a young age, my parents battled with addiction, and my uncle Mike would always come around and check on me and my siblings. He lived with us from a young age all the way up until I went away, pretty much, because he didn't want to see us subjected to what was going on at home. He wanted to protect us. So as a kid, I always knew that he was my safe place. Like, when my parents would be fighting or they'd be too altered and high and drunk to
Yeah.
like take care of us, I would go to Uncle Mike. So as a kid, I always knew he was my person, like he was like my guardian angel. Then I went through my own troubled years where I grew apart from him. I wasn't listening to him. He and I weren't close. And I felt really ashamed for that. And then the person I become. Because as a kid, I was really good at sports. I had so much love and ambition for life. And he would always tell me, man, you're destined for great things, Sean. And I lost that person for a while. But as a kid, he'd always plant these positive things in my mind about who I was. Like, you're a leader, like you're an athlete, you're a good person. And I believe that about myself. And when I needed those positive like feelings about myself most, when I found myself in my jail cell, it was his voice that I turned to. It was all that like energy that he had, you know, passed to me, all that love, all the stuff that he had shared with me early on. I was able to tap back into that. And one of my most proudest moments in my life was really when I went through that transformation in jail before they sent me to prison. I remember he came to visit me one day, and
Yeah.
he was like looking at me talking. I'm telling him about all these push-ups I'm doing, all these books I'm reading, all this like stuff. And he was shocked by how motivated and optimistic I seemed in that situation. And he's like kind of shaking his head with a grin on his face. And I'm like, what? What's so funny? He goes, "You're back, Sean. Like, you're back to that young boy that I remember seeing run around the baseball diamond or surfing out in the ocean. Like, this is who you're meant to be." And it was one of the best moments of my life. I lost my Uncle Mike about 6 months ago. He passed away.
Mm.
And, but he got to see me come home and start a family and pursue my dreams and become the person that I knew I could be, the person he knew I could be. So I felt like I did what I was supposed to do. I honored him every day in there. He was my motivation. And I'd be dead or in a really bad place in life right now if it wasn't for him.
And you know what's funny, Sean? You just said that, but I don't care what age you are, praise is everything. That little things you took when you were a kid, even if somebody's down as an adult and you give them some little pep talk praise, that's going to stick in their head for life, and maybe motivate them to go to the next level.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, most people they don't believe in themselves, or something happens and they feel bad about it and they let that kind of, corrupt inside of them and stop them from taking action. So my biggest thing is I want everyone to know they're capable. Like, there's always this unknown. Like, can I do it? Like, am I good enough? And most people never take action, whatever it is, towards a goal, a change in their life. So they never find out. For me, my hand was forced. In prison, I had to find out, like, Sean, do you have what it takes? And when I discovered that I was stronger, more intelligent, more resilient, like more motivated than I ever thought I could be, it was one of the best feelings in the world, because I found out like I am enough. I can do it. So my
Yeah.
message since coming home, man, is to encourage people like, hey, you like, number one, you got to fight, you got to want it, but number
Mm-hmm.
two, you're far more capable than you realize. You got to give it a shot, man.
100%. And then when you came out of prison, I read in your book there, it's like, okay, first thing you were looking at was like, I'm going to make this happen, but I want a family. I want a wife. You had like goals set in stone at like, I want to have a happy life.
Yeah, I knew exactly what I wanted. I mean, a lot of what I wanted just stemmed from the pain of either not having it grown up or the pain of my own choices. Like, When I sat in my jail cell the first 3 months, it was pure torture because all I thought about was the things I didn't do in my life. I thought it was over. I thought I was going to do life. And all I could think about was the stuff I didn't do, the goals I didn't pursue, like the experience I could have had that I didn't have. I was so ashamed at the person I'd become because I knew I was better than that. And I knew I had like these visions of who I wanted to be, but I never pursued them. And that regret, it ate me alive in that jail cell. The pain that I felt from my own regrets, my own choices, was far worse than the thought of life in prison. Like it was debilitating. But what it did was it was torturing me in that cell to the point where it ignited this spark, this fire inside of me. Like it was either commit suicide or fight for my life. It got all the way down to that. It was like
Mm,
you're either going to just hang yourself in the cell because you can't deal with the misery that you've brought upon yourself, or you're going to fight like you've never fought before for redemption. And I chose to fight, man. And that pain, that regret is still what drives me every day. I don't need a reminder of why I get up in the morning. I don't need a reminder of why I share positive messages online. I don't need a reminder of why I'm such a devoted husband and father. Like that
yeah,
pain is etched in my heart and soul. You know what I mean?
dude.
And it drives me every day. So my why, the reason I do what I do is because
Yeah.
I want to reach as many people in the world as possible and get to them. I want to get to them, like meaning like I want to spark something inside of them. I want to say something that triggers them and gets them
Hmm.
thinking to the point where they live their life differently so they don't get to the end and have those regrets. Because once you're at the end, it's over. There's no do-overs. Like you don't get another life. You don't get to
No,
try again.
one shot,
So
man. That's all we got.
I want everyone to be on their deathbed with peace, knowing that they were honest with themselves and they pursued the vision that God gave them and they did something really special in their lives. Everyone's capable, but most people make excuses and hold back, and all these years pass them
100%.
by, and then they're the ones on their deathbed wishing, begging God for a second chance, and
I
we don't
would
get
or
it.
could I. You're sitting there in your deathbed and say, I wish I would. Just go do it. I got to tell you something. When you were in prison, I think it's almost like here, even if you're not in prison, you need that me time. I'm sure when you were there them years, you're thinking of how, when you get out, what you're going to do. Do you think a lot of people now we're in this rush world. Nobody ever has any me time to put a plan together.
Yeah, 100%, man. Honestly, I had never had so much solitude in my life, and the craziest thing happens when you have no distractions and nothing but just time to sit there and think. You find a depth within yourself that you never knew existed. Like I uncovered a version of myself that I never even knew was there. I learned that I could write poetry, that I was good at speaking, that I was really intelligent. I could read books and
Mhm.
memorize this information. I started just getting to the truth about who I was, man. It was crazy. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity, and that's why I said the morning routine is so important. Like if you
Yes.
can get up early and just have that hour of alone time, don't do anything. Just sit there and drink coffee and see what thoughts come up. You'll build a relationship with yourself. You'll learn about yourself, and you'll start to get a different perspective on life. It's one of the most important things people can do that they don't do is have that quiet time.
100%. And then you'll love this story. My dad, he's one in big time. Get up at 6 a.m., read a newspaper, have your coffee. Early bird gets the worm. When I was in college, I come home in the summertime. I went out for a couple of drinks with my boys and hung out. Guess what? The lawnmower was kicking on, Sean. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, go cut grass. You're not going to sleep in bed all day with a hangover. You're going to go do it. And then that's embedded in your head. If you get up, most people that are energetic can get everything done by 10 a.m., 11 o'clock before other people's out of bed.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get, a jump start on the day, man. And here's the thing, like when you really are clear on your purpose and you have clarity as to where you're going, you want to get up early to attack the day. You don't want to sleep in. You're wasting that time. Man, I don't want to waste a second. Like every moment that I have is so precious and I'm so grateful for the second chance. So I'm going to show how grateful I am through my actions every day. Right? People that gave up on their dreams, people that sold out, people that just like settled for something less in their life, they're not excited. They don't
No.
get up like it's Christmas morning. You're an 8-year-old kid just so excited for life. Like,
Yes.
remember that feeling? The thing is, everyone can have that feeling, but you got to be honest with yourself about what you want. Then you have to have the courage to go after it. And that it's scary, right? It's like nerve wracking, but there's also a lot of excitement there. There's a lot of
Oh,
apprehension, but there's a lot of inspiration. And you want to be uncomfortable. If you really want to grow into your best self, you got to always be on the edge of discomfort. Like your comfort zone is where your dreams die and your potential dies, right? But getting out of your comfort zone is where growth takes place. That's when you become someone you're so proud of. You're like, damn, I never even knew I had this in me. I love
I
this
know.
person.
Isn't that great? So you say follow your heart. I see that's one of your chapters in your book here. How many people I talk to, and you can maybe elaborate on this, Sean, that they want to do this, but they are kind of scared. Can you give them any advice out there to follow your dreams in your heart, man, and make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's been my sole purpose ever since I went through my experience. It's like, how can I reach the masses and help them to feel what I feel in my heart and soul? Because if everyone felt the way I did, they'd live differently. Like,
Yeah.
for those of you listening, I want you to really imagine if you went to the doctor and they told you you had a tumor and that you had like 3 months to live. Imagine the things in your life right now that you haven't done, that you keep saying you're going to do, the small changes and then the big things. Like, imagine everything. It's done, it's over. You're not going to get an opportunity to do it. How devastated would you be, right? Or think about your loved ones and the people that you say you're going to spend more time with, or that friend or that family member you haven't called and talked to for years. Like, what if they died? Or what if you died and you don't get that chance? Like, I think
Hmm.
about death every day. I think about two things every day that really help me and it'll help your viewers. Number one is I picture my funeral. If I died next week, what would my wife and kids really feel and say about me? What would, my colleagues, my friends, people I've helped and coached, like, how would I really be remembered? Would I just be another person that died and they're forgotten a week later? Or they say, man, Sean really cared about life. He really helped me. He really poured his heart and soul into this life. He inspired us. We're going to live better because of his example. Like, that's what I want. That's my mission every day, right? So I think
Yeah.
about that. It always puts things in perspective as to what's important and what's not. And then number two, I want everyone listening to imagine that your life is broadcast on the evening news tonight at 8 p.m. The whole world's going to see how you lived. They're going to see what you did for your fitness, for your habits, in your business, with your family, everything that you did. Now, are you excited that they're going to see how you lived? Or are you kind of nervous? You're like, oh, damn, they're going to see that I did that thing or I didn't do that thing, or they're going to see how I really live when no one's watching. Like, that's the awareness that you need to really crush at life, because no one wants the world to see them acting a fool or making excuses or holding back. You want the world to recognize you as the badass, that badass that you're intended to
Yes.
be, right? That world changer. So you got to live with that awareness and hold yourself to that standard every day. And like, take it from me, man, a guy who died and came back to life. Like, that's what happened. Like,
Hmm.
every regret, every excuse you make is going to be a regret later on in life. You know what to do right now. Your heart is calling you to be a certain type of person. It's saying you
Yes.
got to lose the weight. You got to go to the gym more. You got to train in sales more. You got to level up in your business. You got to build better relationships. You got to get away from those old friends. You got to stop drinking. You got to stop watching TV. Like, your
Hmm.
conscience is calling you to be that certain type of person. All you got to do is be honest with yourself and have the courage to take action. And I promise you, if you never quit and give up, you're going to get to a place in life that you absolutely love.
Exactly. And that word is fulfillment. When you get to that point where everything in life, every second's fulfillment, you made it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I felt that in prison. I couldn't believe that I was going to sleep every night full of peace, gratitude, and fulfillment. It blew my mind. I was the happiest I had ever been in my life in a jail cell. And it taught me a lot about what success really is. Success isn't money in your bank account. It's not a Lamborghini. It's not a new house you bought. Those
Yep.
things are cool when you earn them over time. It's just like a reward for the person you've become. So here's the thing: the best feeling in the world is when you have a vision about who you want to be and you're like, damn, that's a scary vision. Like, that's what I'm being called to do. That's what I really want. Like, how can I ever get there? And then you just start taking action every day to align yourself to that person. You start building that momentum. You start inching towards those things and you start to
Hmm.
see them materialize in your life. You're like, damn, this is the most exciting adventure I've ever been on. And like, I'm creating something that I first envisioned. Like, it was intangible. Now it's tangible. Now it's my reality. Right. So that's how success is created. When you're honest with yourself and you live in alignment with that truth, the byproduct is inner peace. The byproduct is, man, I love myself. I'm grateful for who I'm becoming. And that's what everyone's after in life. That's what everyone wants to experience.
Exactly. And that's not cockiness. That's just confidence. There's a big difference there. I think some people think you love yourself. You love yourself because you can love other people. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember I used to hear that term self love when I was younger, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I would like, what the hell does that mean? Like, that guy's talking about self love. That's so lame.
Like,
I didn't
uh,
get it. I didn't love myself at all. My actions proved it. I was doing drugs. I was
mhm.
being reckless. I didn't love my career. Like, everything I was doing was not what I wanted it to be. So, self love is an action. So, like, your actions every day, do they prove that you really love yourself, or do they prove that you don't really care about yourself? When you really love yourself, if you're a parent, if you're a husband, a wife, if you want to be a good team member, whatever it is in business, like when you really love yourself, you're able to transfer that love to other people and they feel it. And you make them happier just to be around you because you're taking care of yourself. So you're passing that same energy onto everyone that you come across. And like sales, for instance, if you want to crush it in sales, if you really take care of yourself and you love yourself, you'll close way more deals, right? Like in business, whatever you're doing, people will recognize you. They'll see you in a different light. Your family, they'll be damn proud that you're the person in their life because of the way you show up for them.
You know what? And you hit it right on the head there. That being that positive energy, I always say, and that smile. Like if I'm in a gym and you're smiling, people's going to be around you. They want to come to that positive energy and enjoy it. And then you can spread the love to everybody else too.
100%. But you can't fake it, man. You can put on a fake smile once in a while, but like energy transfer is unconscious. So like when I would walk into a prison right away, it would feel really, really scary, dangerous, negative. Like you feel the energy there. Versus I go walk into my daughter's classroom to pick her up at the end of the day, it's the exact opposite. The kids are playing, they're laughing, there's so much love, there's so much good energy in that room. You feel it before you even hear anybody speaking. So we're always transferring energy to people everywhere we go. And if you want to be like an elite performer in life, you got to elevate the energy that you cultivate within yourself by the way you're living so that you can then transfer into everybody you communicate with. That's how you create success. It becomes easy at that point.
It does, man. And you're enjoying life to the fullest, man. I'm going to throw it up there, man. Here's your book right here, man. It's on Amazon. I'll tell you what. And you know what? You are the living example of what I do every day. And I love that, man, Sean, that you're giving back to everybody else out there. And it's, and your story resonates with so many people there that, you know what I mean? Like, don't ever give up, at 23 years old, seriously, 23, I'm going to spring break and you're going to the Slammer. That's total opposite. It's like, holy cow. I couldn't imagine at 23 going to prison and how you overcome it,
Yeah, I mean, it was the education of a lifetime. I'll say that. And like honestly, what you just said a second ago, though, I have a tagline or a quote. It's the man who refuses to quit cannot be stopped. Like if you really want success in life and you want to get somewhere, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be tested. But at the end of the journey, when you achieve your results, you're going to look back on all those things that try to stop you. And you're going to be even more proud of yourself and more grateful for what you accomplished because you never quit, even when it was really tough and stressful. So for anyone listening, keep fighting. You're stronger than you think. You're more resourceful. You're more resilient than you'll ever know. Never quit and give up. And I promise you're going to get to a place where you're just so proud of yourself and you love your life.
Dude, I love that. Real quick, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors here. Advanced Partners. They put the FUN in funding. If you need funding, you know who to call. Advanced Partners. Hey, Sean, brother, any final thoughts before we get out of here, man? I'll tell you what, it's been a pleasure, man, talking to you for the last 40 minutes, man, seriously, in sunny California. But, this inspires me more, too. As you probably can see, I was getting pumped up. I'm ready to go to the gym right now, man. The way you talk and the way you push people, you could push myself right over the edge, too, to get to the next level, man. It's exciting stuff, bud.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Iron sharpens iron. And it's like my life experience has just allowed me to feel in a certain way where I can show up as the person I want to be for others. That's my whole mission, is to be of service to the world. So, I mean, I have my coaching program. We do a lot of in-person stuff too, masterminds, where people come and meet with us and we spend a day or two coaching, working out, going over all these different things you and I just discussed. And then live speaking events. I have a bunch of them lined up this year. Speaking on stage was one of the things I always envisioned because I just wanted to be able to captivate an audience, share my message, and change lives from stage. So, it's awesome, man. If anyone wants to connect, I don't know if you have the links or not, but Sean_Crane_official on Instagram, and then Sean Michael Crane on Facebook. Shoot me a DM, connect with me. It's always me and my social media accounts. Let me know if you listen to this episode, any takeaways or questions you might have.
Love it, brother, man. You're a brother to me, man, for sure, buddy. And you know what? When I come to Cali, man, we're hitting a workout. Deal?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
We're going to pump up life and have success no matter what you do. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. Hey, Sean, thank you again, man. And we'll see you on another episode of Behind the Book soon. Take care, guys.